Welcome to the Creative Plan Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and to the Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Well, welcome one and all. We're just waiting on water to arrive, and we'll introduce and kick things off. Thank you for coming.
Have you all been enjoying the convention so far?
Going well.
Good.
Yes. A bit smaller than what I think we're all accustomed to, but as goes with COVID.
Actually, this is like the smallest con, and I think it's the best con, because I've been to Phoenix Comic-Con twice, and I'm like, oh, that one panel just ended, and the panel I want to go to is like on the other side of the convention building. Girl, I am trying to walk out right now.
Yeah, the only problem I have is my costume so far has not been allowing me to wear my glasses, so it's like, I can't see anything.
But you know that you look fabulous, so...
Yes, so either you have to get contact lenses, corrective LASIK or PRK surgery.
I've got some.
I will take it.
Or I just deal with it.
Yes, so I mean, it's up to you there.
I remember the year I had to get from the vendor hall at Phoenix Comic-Con all the way upstairs, out of the building, down the street to the, whichever hotel it was, the Renaissance, I think, in a gorilla suit. Because I was going to be doing some cockfighting, and it was 114 degrees outside. And I did not smell very nice for the rest of the day.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So you always come prepared with spray on deodorant.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure, you may smell like a douche, but at least you smell like a douche enough.
A douche and deodorant. Yes.
In my car. Yes.
And yes, you're all here. You're still coming to panels at whatever time it is on Sunday. So dedication, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, it's hardly a con if it's not all weekend.
Absolutely.
Very true, yes.
So, should kick things off, and
Yes.
where are we going to start? Let's start down the other end. Who are you, sir, and why are you here?
Hi, everybody. So my name is Brian Haas. I am a film programmer at Film Bar in Phoenix. I've been a film critic for the better part of 3 decades at this point. Been writing for a very, very long time at this point, even longer than, professionally. This has been my first conference in 2 years, which has been awesome because I certainly miss this for sure.
I am Cameron D. Blackwell. I write gay, sci-fi, horror, and urban fantasy stories. I think that's amazing, just because that's sort of like a niche that has yet to be filled and or optimized. And I've been writing since I was like 9. Really got into it around 14, and just been going on ever since. I write a sci-fi series called Perils of Space, which is basically a wonderful gay romp through space. And I've got 6 books out, 9 written, 3 more being planned. And I also make lovely, lovely lined notebooks as well. This is my personal one because it's my personal favorite, Alex Squirrels. And I'll show you. Thank you.
Well, my name is Heshe Leontess. This is my first convention. I am a newly published author as of last month. My book, thank you. So the first book I have in my series right now is called Plague Doc Inc. First Plague Magic. And the premise was something that I sort of came up with when I was trying to explain the background story for my live-action roleplay character, the Plague Doctor. And the concept is magic causes madness. And you are now in a world in which magic causes insanity upon the people who use it. However, the only way to combat magic is with magic, and that brings us forth the Plague Doctors, who are both greatly appreciated and greatly despised by the rest of the human populace. So, thank you for having me here, and I hope you enjoy the convention.
And I'm Hal Astell. I am a writer, film critic. I write books about film. I also have a film festival where I program lots of genre film up in Phoenix. I co-chair a science fiction fantasy convention up in Phoenix called CocoCon, and I run Arizona Fandom, which is where you can find out everything, hopefully, about fandom in the state, conventions, authors, groups, whatever. So that is me. And again, thank you all for coming. Do we have a moderator? Is somebody designated, or do we?
I'm totally fine with moderating.
Oh, well, okay. Over to you, sir. I'm totally fine with you taking on moderation.
All right, cool. So we're here to talk. We're here to talk about binging, which is probably one of everybody's favorite things to do, especially right now. I've certainly had plenty of time to binge things in the last 2 years. Caught up on a lot of stuff that I've been meaning to watch. And yet my pile still seems to grow. I joke all the time that I will die with a giant pile of things that I've intended to read or watch or whatever. I've accepted it at this point.
It seems very strange to wish you that your piles will continue to grow, but
yes. But they will, and I'll be sad that I won't be able to get to them all. But someday, on my deathbed, it's like, but only if I could have watched Thanksgiving 3.
That's what retirement's for, darling. When you're retired, you don't actually have to work, and you just say, could I write, or do I continue watching the show?
Yeah.
I think I'll watch a show. I'm old enough now to where they can wait for me.
Totally. And so there are so many streaming services now, it's not even funny. I'm finding new ones that I love all the time. I just discovered Night Flight Plus the other day, or the other week, or whatever it was, where they're showing the old Night Flight episodes from the 80s, and you might be old enough to remember that, Hal.
I don't know it.
You were probably not in the States then, maybe.
No, not in the States. What's Night Flight?
So Night Flight was this overnight show on USA where they just showed weird exploitation, horror, sci-fi genre stuff. That was a little bit later. That was Up All Night.
Okay.
And so Night Flight it didn't have a host. It was just sort of a disembodied voice hosted it, and it played music videos and just basically whatever content was available in 1984 that they're just please, we need something to put on overnight, So it's we'll play fish heads or, whatever weird shit that you have out there. Bambi versus Godzilla, all these things. It's a very short film. It's a very short film.
I can imagine Bambi winning.
I would root for Bambi.
Yeah, it does not end well. But
not for Bambi.
Sorry, I don't want to spoil things, but now there are many different options that are available for streaming, and all of them love this model now, just dropping it all at once. The networks are really the only ones that do the episodic, drops really anymore. And so, it's not unusual to just wake up one morning and there's 10 new episodes of Lock and Key to watch, Exactly, which I haven't gotten to it yet. But the first season is excellent, so I'll talk about that later. But with Netflix and Hulu and Shudder and all of them sort of bidding for, content, a lot of them realized, let's just make our own content, that we can keep, that we don't have to license, and it's just an added bonus to whatever streaming service that you have. And so there's a million great streaming services, and Netflix is still sort of the king and has some of the best streaming, bingeable streaming stuff still. Yes. But that's because Netflix has just dump trucks of money. So it's of course, we'll buy Squid Games from South Korea. Sure, why not? Because we got, all this money, and maybe it'll be a hit. Oh, it is? Okay, cool. So.
Then they just are now just creating their own things. So soon enough, we'll have no actual natural movie producers in Hollywood. We'll just have their own belonging to Netflix.
Yeah.
At this point.
Or Hulu.
Or HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Yes.
See, I discovered HBO Max this month. Because when it came out, my roommate at the time, she created a profile for me And I just kind of forgot about it. I'm like, I don't have HBO Plus or HBO Max. And then my cell service is like, oh, you get HBO Max for free. I'm like, oh, fantastic. And I logged in on my laptop, and it still remembered my old roommate's password. I'm like, oh, sweet. So I get to watch all these cool movies at the same time as they're in the theater. But right now, I'm just kind of binging season 11 of Doctor Who because I couldn't find it anywhere. Like they all used to be on Netflix, and now they're on. And now the new season has started, but it's on another streaming service.
Yep.
I'm like,
HBO.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
AMC Plus.
America. There's AMC Plus.
Hate us.
Yeah. There's even like a lot of really good free streaming services now. Like Kino Cult is a brand new one that it's done on advertising. Tubi is the best thing going, and it's completely free.
I'm doing Pluto.tv.
Pluto is amazing. Pluto TV sponsored one of our events in Phoenix over the Halloween weekend. They've been having a windfall. It's been great for Pluto TV the last 2 years because people are looking for stuff to watch.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so they've got all the old fun bingeable stuff like Mystery Science Theater 3000, and stuff that you're used to.
Classic Doctor Who.
And it's all free, which is amazing.
So I think the question for the panel was to binge or not to binge, and it sounds like everybody on that side of the table as well is to binge.
For sure.
Let's talk about it. So, Heshe,
Well,
to binge or not to binge?
For me, I'm more of a binge when it comes to actually reading something. I tend to save sort of TV activities with my spouse, so that way it's a bit more of a group activity because why just, watch it by yourself when all you can have is just your own personal opinions about it? Like, oh, I like that. Yes, that was cool. It's just very quick. The amount of, investment time upon it that you get, I invest this much time for this amount of entertainment, but if someone else with you, then you have at least 15 minutes to half an hour time afterwards to talk about it, to theorize about things, to realize, oh, I didn't think about that, yes, and then have a whole new tangent line of things to think about down the line. But with reading, at this point, I've also been stuck upon, web novels or light novels from animes and other things because once I know the anime is I want more. And then that's when I start binging because reading is definitely more upon the solo act. So yes, I think it just depends upon the media upon which I'm binging, and also it's a matter of does it hold my interest? And also is it something that I can do while doing other things? Because I'm one of those people who I get very bored from just sitting down for too long, and I will be like, I'm enjoying the show, but because I've been sitting here for 3 hours plus watching So Much Spider So What, I need to do something else now. But I can't continue watching So Much Spider So What because I unfortunately can't understand, Japanese just being shouted at me. I have to read the subtitles. So then I have to switch to something else that I can listen to and not feel as though I'm going to miss out by not having visuals. So then I just turn to my old reliable, which I've already watched too many times, The Great British Baking Show, because I get to listen to them. It's a nice, cheerful sort of thing. It's not the whole cutthroat, you are a terrible cook. No, at the very end, they're all hugging each other, oh, we love you, and it does give you some very good ideas upon things to bake. I'm going to be stealing one of the cake ideas and using it where you make it's birthday cake, where you make a cake of the person whose birthday it is, and then you scream as you behead the person. And that's what I'm going to be doing for my spouse this year because they hate traditional cake.
So it inspires you to bake things?
A little bit, yes. I'm not all the biggest cook in the world, but when I see something cool, I can use that for this brandy situation or just inspiration for something else.
Yeah, I don't watch those shows because they don't inspire me to bake, they inspire me to eat.
That's the only issue, yes. And that's probably why I can only binge them via audible sound, because then I don't look at it and go, oh, I want one too now. I can do the dishes, not pay attention, but still have the audible entertainment. And that's how I usually deal with binging. And then once I know that's okay, I've done something physical, I've done something active, I feel as though I've accomplished something in my life, now I can go back to just being a lump.
Yeah, it's an achievement. Yeah, thank you for bringing up books, because I think we all think, we binge TV, right? Mm-hmm. It's a show, it's a season, it's there all at once, we go for it. And I kind of did that anyway before streaming. I did it with, DVDs or VHS before that. But I binge TV a lot, and I watch with my wife, so we're able to bicker at each other about what's happening as we go. Usually during rather than after.
Yeah, I was going to say, will you wait until after?
But
No, she tells me who did it, right at the beginning. Oh, yeah.
And after. And.
Yes.
And during.
Well, and after is, you got time for another one, or do we have to sleep? So we just roll straight into the next.
Well, in regards to your whole thing about you actually, wait till afterwards, the thing is that my spouse will try to start talking to me at the show, like, yes, I do agree upon that, but I want to see what happens next, so shut up, we'll talk later. But then that turns into this reminds me of another movie that you need to watch, because I have a longer list of movies for you to catch up upon. So we're now watching this, but the discussion we're going to have, no, we're watching this now, and so then it turns into a whole new marathon, find new things to watch. And then the original intent of finishing one show just ends up dying halfway, and we'll get back to that a week later, perhaps, as we go down this new side path rabbit hole of new things to binge upon.
Did you just pitch a new reality show? Because I'd watch that.
But would you binge it?
Yes.
Absolutely, because I only binge shows. I used to once I got to the States and we had all of these channels. Because in England I had it was 3 channels when I was young. Then it became 4, and then it became 5, and then I didn't get satellite or whatever we had, and then I got rid of the TV. So I just stopped watching TV unless it was on video. But I moved to the States, and we've got 200 channels or something. I'm searching for things. I had a DVR to be able to record this stuff, and I ended up realizing that we were becoming slaves to the DVR.
Yes.
Because we'd map out the 23 shows we're going to record this week, and it would be full by Thursday. So now we've got to watch all of this so that we can free the space to be able to record stuff tonight. And I hated that. Absolutely hated that, and because we kept failing.
Yeah.
And that's when T-Book came in.
So what we crunched the numbers and realized that if we ditched cable and we bought the box sets of DVDs of all the shows we watch at the end of the season, it would cost about half as much money as we were currently paying. And we wouldn't have to worry about the DVR. It wouldn't matter. What are we going to watch? We're going to watch this, and we'll just watch all the way through it. And there's no commercials. Don't have to skip. And, we don't get 3 weeks off because it's basketball season or something. And, and it was great. So we were binging there. And then when streaming came along, it was natural. Let's just dump this on there. Cool, let's try that. 27 episodes later.
Yes. Oh, you reminded me with the whole VCR commentary about my mother. Every single summer there was a Winter Olympics thing going on. We could not touch the TV because she had to have a figure skating.
Oh.
And I was just like, I want to watch this show. No one will touch the TV, and I will know who touched it because then I'll have evidence.
We've got to watch the curling,
Yes.
So exciting.
Oh, got a question.
So,
We're coming.
what's a series, like a book series, that you guys have binged?
Oh, I'll kick in here. I review books at a nameless zine, shameless plug, which is an online e-zine that publishes monthly. So I'm doing a lot of binging in a monthly sense. So I got sent the latest Pip and Flicks book by Alan Dean Foster. And I read that, and I kind of liked it. And I thought, hang on, did I read some of these when I was 13? I think I kind of did because they're on the shelf, but I don't remember. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to work through the series. And then I came to the realization that the Pip and Flinks books are just part of the Humax Commonwealth series. So I found myself doing all 26. and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So now I'm doing a lot of run-throughs. And it's kind of a binge without, multiple binges. So I'm doing...
Like you said, Netflix made it pretty much seamless.
Yeah.
But I don't hear a lot about people binging on books or series.
One of my favorite things has been Marvel and DC releasing their digital versions of the comics. And so, because I collected comics a lot when I was a kid, and then, you just get to a point where you're like, I like girls and going out and drinking, and I don't have as much money for comic books anymore. And so... I've been able to go back and catch up on series that, especially ones that are getting adapted and utilized for all the different, the smart ones anyway. Marvel's we've got 1,000 stories. Why don't we just use the stories we already have? Why reinvent the wheel every time, And so you can go back and sort of see the more expanded version of that. That's been really nice, and those are pretty reasonable. I think it's $10 each or something like that. And you get like rotating new comic books and stuff like that. So that's been kind of fun.
For me, I am much more of a weeb, I'll admit, than actually hardcore science fiction individual. So I also discovered Webtoons recently. Yes.
More Olympus!
I've actually been more into Punderworld. So I'm sure you guys have seen the Remarried Empress. Yes. So all the emotional hatred towards Sobu for dumping someone brilliant for this whiny little Rasha girl. Don't worry, she has her comeuppance. But, I couldn't wait for the stuff to go on with the Webtoon comic releasing just once, originally twice, but now just once a week. And I was like, where can I find more? And I saw somebody mention, oh yeah, the light novel. And I'm like, where? And so when I had my first round of, you've been potentially exposed to COVID, go into lockdown for 2 weeks, I was like, finding the Remarried Empress light novel, Korean English translations. Eventually I found one that had all the way to chapter 400 and something, but it hasn't actually updated since July, sadly. I started reading at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I did not go to sleep until about 4:30, and I still hadn't finished it. And that was after I passed out.
Do you ever keep up? I mean, the web comics and webtoons, whatever, that publish on a set frequency, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy because...
Do you wait and get the new one every time, or do you just forget about it for 6 months and go, oh, holy crap, I've got 47 weeks worth?
So I mostly, my nightly routine usually revolves around me just lying in bed, trying to do a little Duolingo to try to improve myself. And then afterwards, I just read, the comics that I like to follow up on a weekly basis because they release, some release on Monday, others Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I always have something new to read. But there are times where I lose interest within one, and I'll just dump it off to the side. But later on, when I finished all my current things, because they finally meet their end, I'm like, I need something new to read, because how else will I be entertained? And they're like, oh, I was following this at one point, and oh, look at that, there's like 30 new chapters. Well, then, I don't think I have anything important going on right now. Do I? No.
Yeah, that's totally how I do it. I read Xkcd online, I read Oglaf and a couple others, but I don't follow any of them. I don't even know what their schedule is for new content. I just go there periodically, I've got half hour, I'm not doing anything. What's Xkcd been up to? Oh, work all the way back.
Yeah, I used to read Order of the Stick back in the day. And I would just, because I think when I jumped in, there was like so much ahead of me. I was like, oh, cool, I'll never run out of material. And then I just kind of dropped out. And then I'm like, when I remember it again, I'm like, oh, crap, I don't remember where I left off. Start all over again.
Oh, that's such a horrible thing. They have to restart over, just like remember, just like a Harry Potter sort of feel. Like there are parts where you go like, oh yes, I remember that scene in Harry Potter. I like that scene. I'm going to reread that just for old memorial's sake. And then you find that you just continue on to reading. It's like, how did I get back to book 7? I've read that thing like 10 times now. Oh well, now I'm at 11.
Well, a series that I binged back when I could read was the Myth Adventures. It's by Robert Asprin. And that was a really good series, and they were like really short stories, but they were also kind of episodic, and I'm like, I love that. I don't know if you are familiar with that series, but yes.
I heard it was hit or myth.
I read that one. That was...
Yeah, it was one of the titles.
It was one of the titles, yes. Little Myth Marker. And I just love puns, so it's amazing. But I don't know where to find them. Every now and then I'll go into Bookman's and I'm like, oh, they have that one, but it's not the one that I need to read right now.
Yeah, book 34, and I don't have book 33 yet.
Exactly.
Dresden Files is another one that I used to binge.
Yes.
Piers Anthony novels.
Piers
Anthony novels.
Yeah.
The Xanth series. I don't know why. You want to talk about puns. A spearmint. It's a little piece of mint with a spear.
Yay!
Square candies that look round.
Oh, which one?
Square candies that look round.
Oh.
What about like some of the series that you like to binge? Like
Watching them?
Yeah.
Also, I'm currently benching Doctor Who season 11, and I also like to binge Fringe. I love that.
Binge Fringe.
Binge Fringe. But the thing is I always choose the most inopportune times to start binging. So like if I know that I need to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll just start binging at 1, or even if I don't have anything to do. I'm a night person, even though I have to be awake during the day, but I really get more energy at night. So I will start watching something at like 8 or 9 o'clock. Next thing I know, it's 7 a.m. I'm like, oh. But I did get through 2 seasons of whatever.
I had that with 24. When I first saw 20, I think it was first season, and my roommate at the time back in England and I watched 24, and I don't think we realized that you don't have to watch it in 24 hours. Right. But it certainly seemed that way. We watched, I don't know, 12, and it's like, oh crap, we've got to go to work. We haven't slept yet. Okay, we can do that next week.
And the fun thing is that when it was on the air, it was in real time. Mm-hmm. And so we tried to do that. We tried to binge watch 24 and 24 hours, and we realized, they made allowances for the commercials, so it's not really in real time anymore.
So it's easy to watch in 24 hours. It's only 20 and a half or something.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Bathroom breaks, food runs real fast.
Exactly. And that's but you can't go while the episode is going. You have to wait until the next episode. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you could pause, but it's not in real time at that point.
Yeah. That's old school, where you go to the bathroom during a commercial break.
Yes.
Go get
it's
your
back on! Like jumping over the couch and stuff.
Instantly talking about siblings.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Hands still around your ankles as you're like, I can wipe later.
Yep.
Check my shirt. That's right.
I'm sitting there. It's your turn to get the popcorn.
One of the things I've really enjoyed about just the prevalence of streaming has been the availability of everything, because I don't know about you, but I didn't watch all 200 and whatever episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation the first time, there was that was syndicated, and who knows? Like you talk about, there was a football game on that weekend, so it got bumped to 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday night, and suddenly I'm 2 episodes out or something. And some series, it didn't really matter. That's one where you can just sort of jump in wherever. But I really sort of appreciated the availability of some of the old series, like The Twilight Zone is one that I love to revisit. And just realize, we just talked about Twilight Zone episodes on my podcast recently. We normally do movies, but we sort of, went on that because they're all available now on, I think it's Paramount Plus. One of the services has all of them. And then certain services have certain seasons of, I think Hulu has 2 seasons of The Twilight Zone. And it's kind of crazy to see how licensing rights, work. And you see we've got season 1 and 2, but we don't have 3 and 4, which were the hour-long episodes or, the weirder episodes or whatever. But I really appreciated the ability to go back and see some of those because, everybody remembers as a kid, at least I certainly do, when you missed, certainly one where it was, important, the X-Files or something like that, where you missed an episode and you're like, fuck. You're like, I'm lost forever, I'm just going to have to wait till the episode comes back around in, the summer or whatever.
Right, the repeat season.
Yeah, exactly, and hope that I catch it.
That doesn't exist anymore now.
Right.
Yes.
That totally doesn't exist anymore. Because now they just create new content for whatever.
Yep.
And that's why Survivor has 18,000 seasons, even though it's only been on for 10 years.
But one of the things I like about the no off season anymore is that they've been taking chances on shorter runs of television series to do 10 episode series and what which is a more realistic season to me anyway. 24 episodes. The idea of that anymore seems ridiculous. I see 15 episodes in a series, and I'm like, this better be a good series, because if not, I'm not getting past 2 episodes.
See, that used to really tick me off. I liked my 22, 24 episode seasons because, if I'm going to pay $50 to buy a season set, there better be a lot of episodes on there. And now there's like, oh, we have 6 episodes. I'm like, okay, I get that the British thing is like they have a smaller budget, okay, but America has no excuse. Right?
I thought it caused tighter storytelling. Like,
and once I realized that, I'm like,
yes.
okay, cool. I don't need 15 episodes of filler when only
Yeah.
the beginning and the end of the seasons are really important.
Right. Think of like Lost, right?
Yeah.
Like how much filler there was. You know, especially once you get past the first season, like seasons 2 through 6 or whatever are all filler until they get to the end. You know, so it's like they sometimes run into that problem of like you have a hit series, now what do? You know, it's like we didn't really think this out to like long term, and like we had like 20 episodes mapped out real good. You know, like we knew how to hook everybody, and then it's just like, what do we do now?
But then you have the reverse happening. Like Lovecraft Country was phenomenal, but HBO was just like, well, it's done after 1 season, and you're like, it could so have a second season.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So much more story. And it wasn't even like Mandy Patinkin was in it and killed it off because he left.
What was that one?
Dead like every other show.
Yeah. So, wasn't there like a CSI-esque one?
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah. No, we learned that one in Britain a long time ago because when you're watching a Miss Marple season, the 6 episodes, you're already thinking, how many people are going to get murdered in this town of 12 people?
Right.
It's a pretty deadly village, and you guys do the remake and it's 24 episodes. So it's like, oh, good grief, there's nobody left.
Well, I'm also currently binging Midsummer Murders when you talk about that.
I haven't started yet, but I know
Oh
it's
my goodness. How
There's
many
like
seasons now?
There's 22 seasons. And like and each episode is like a movie, like they did with Sherlock, where like sure there's few episodes, but you're getting more bang for your buck. So they're like 2 hours. Each episode is a movie basically, and it's amazing. And people just keep moving there and dying. And
Midsummer series or
Midsummer Murders, yes.
Midsummer Murders. Okay, sounds interesting. I actually recently watched Midnight Mass.
Oh yeah, Midnight Mass was really good.
Yeah, it intrigued my spouse because I know this isn't like he saw it like, oh, it must be sort of a Christian thing, whatnot. It'd be interesting to see. So he's like, well, the fact that we're doing a traditional midnight mass, it might have some interesting historical points to it, playing back to some of the old stuff. So historically, I'll watch it. And I was like, wait a moment, this doesn't seem quite what I'd imagined. Looked around like, oh, it's been banned by those communities. Well then, that's made this so much more interesting. Hey, Heshe, get over here.
Yes. A question that came out of that, because I haven't seen Midnight Mass yet, but I know I will because it's a Mike Flanagan series.
Right.
And I love what Mike Flanagan does every time he does it.
Everything.
So, ever since Absentia, which I still think is the best horror movie of the past forever. But yeah, I'm automatically going to watch it because of him. Do you choose what you want to binge on the basis of what your chosen streaming channel tells you is new, or do you seek stuff out and say, no, I'm going to watch Midnight Mass because it's a Mike Flanagan show?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I agree. A little bit of both.
I have this whole thing where hating things that are popular is kind of my personality.
Yes.
I'm trying to get out of that because it's not a personality, but I keep hearing people talk about Midnight Mass or Squid Game, and I think I will wait until the fervor has died down 5 years later, and then I'm like, oh my god, this show is brilliant! Why is nobody talking about it?
I would also recommend that you wait to watch Squid Game because so many Korean American translators have come out saying that they are the translators who worked on the show completely missed the nuance of the translations. There's stuff that characters say, and they say it in a way that is like. And there's one character that goes, I didn't go to, I'm not very smart, I didn't go to school, but I think I can figure this out. Whereas, if you actually understand Korean, what she says is we couldn't afford to go to school, but I know I'm very smart. Right. Which is talking about the classism. And I think I've been waiting for it because I used to live in Korea. I've been waiting for it forever.
What I've heard about that, because I've read a lot about that, there's actually 3 versions on, it's Netflix, right?
Yep, it's Netflix.
Yeah, there's 3 versions on Netflix. If you watch the dubbed version, it is absolutely as bad as you say.
Okay.
If you watch what you think is the subtitled version, which is actually the closed caption version, it is absolutely as bad as you say. But if you watch the real subtitled version, because you've selected that specifically, it's actually pretty good.
Okay. All right.
Now, I haven't probably watched as much Korean stuff as you. I watch a lot of Korean movies, but I certainly don't speak Korean. But so I can't vouch personally for the accuracy. But I hear that the actual subtitle version is much better than the other two.
If you want to challenge yourself and you have 15 minutes, you can learn how to read Korean.
15 minutes?
It takes 15
true.
minutes.
It actually is.
Legit. Yeah.
It's just a matter of being able to remember what words actually means what.
Ryan Estrada wrote a really good, you guys can look this up too. Ryan Estrada wrote the thing of how to learn Korean in 15 minutes, and he does it like pictograph form. So there's like one that looks like a gun, and it makes a "k" or a "k" sound, and he's
I
all
had
like,
that bookmarked on for years.
It's so easy to learn. That was one of those things.
I will check that out.
Yeah.
Ryan Estrada.
He's great.
Because I love Korean movies. Love Korean
me
movies.
too. It's one of my favorite.
You should try the barbecue. It's fantastic. We'll never go back to American barbecue again.
Barbecue.
There's a real Hollywood quality to it. I think because we've been occupying Korea for like 50 years, 60 years, whatever now, and so I think some of that is some of the American entertainment has sort of rubbed off on them a little bit. So.
I mean, yes and no. Snowpiercer was phenomenal, and they wouldn't even let it have an American. The director wouldn't let it have an American release because American Hollywood kept trying to cut 15, 30 minutes out of it. And he's all like, "Nope, this is standalone, baby. It's all included."
Yeah.
So I was the crazy person in Korea going, "You've never heard of Snowpiercer?"
Anything he does, well, I mean, there's lots of P, but anything that Bong Joon-ho does, but also who's the Korean star?
Yeah, and he's in.
He's done a lot of Park Chan-wook films.
Yes.
And
Is it Jin-ho?
Song Kang-ho, I think. Song Kang-ho?
Yeah.
Yeah, anything he does is
remember,
brilliant. I mean, just automatic.
Yeah, no, that actor's phenomenal.
So I actually like the point that you bring up with the subtitles as a fact. So that's sort of another question I think we bring along to the whole binging portion, because there are those who will be like, I want the dubbed version always because, I don't want to have to read while I'm trying to be entertained. And then there are those who are like, no, I want the closest translation as possible to what it says because, again, the nuances. Like when I grew up watching Spirited Away purely in English, but then I watched it one day in Japanese when I finally got good at reading. And I was like, this actually explains a lot more. I mean, the text doesn't change all that much, but just the changes of the words that they use just brings so much more clarity and understanding to the situation.
I really honestly think that the inflection of the actors' voices, like I have to hear it, right?
Yeah.
I don't care that it's in another language, right? I have gotten good enough at this point that I, can read and listen at the same time. But like, I need to hear how they're delivering those lines to see, like, the impact that it's supposed to have.
Tone matters.
It really does. And so it really does sort of lose some of its impact, especially with the nuance that you're talking about, where, like, they translate it, and yes, that's kind of what they're saying, but it's not really what they're saying,
Yes.
When I started seriously getting into anime at one point, I found that there's also subtitles and subtitles, and there's releases and releases. I got into a show called Urusei Yatsura, which I adored, and the company that was releasing them in England had subtitles, but then there would be sort of cultural notes on the screen in addition to the subtitles.
Yep.
So it's more to read, but as long as you can read it quick enough,
They used to
really
do that
helps.
in Korea. Their shows, whenever they talk, like if it was a medical show and they're like, oh, we have to put like a central line in, they'd actually break down what a central line was so people could be learning while they're watching their drama. And I was just like, this is amazing.
And then there were notes in the inner sleeve of the VHS tape, so you could read more about this stuff as in between. And you learn. I mean, we've all got to learn. That's life, right?
See, I depend heavily on the subtitles because I have an auditory processing issue. I will hear the words and I know that they're in English, but I don't understand the meaning of the words, or I can't discern what the words are. And so when they have subtitles, that helps me out a lot more. And if they don't have subtitles, I'm like,
yeah, you get like picky about watching it.
I mean, that's why.
35 years of listening to funk music, live, has not done any, like wonders for my ears. And so, like, same thing, like I turn the subtitles on now for even the English stuff.
I have that problem, but only because I'm an Englishman living in America. So I know these are words. I recognize the words. What do they mean here?
And we do the same thing when we watch British shows. We're like, okay, okay, because you've got Ireland and Scotland all up in there. I'm like, okay, and they're all in there together. I'm like, what is anybody saying?
And then all of a sudden you get Welsh in there, and you're like, what is going on? I don't even know what's going on
Just
anymore.
the different parts of England. You've got like the Cockney accent. You've got Lancashire,
Lincolnshire
and Lancashire.
Yeah, thank you. See, so there's accents all over the place.
There was a TV show called, when I was growing up, called Auf Wiedersehen, Pat. And it was a comedy drama set in Germany, and the cast were all English bricklayers. And they each one came from a different part of the country and had a completely different accent. And my mother loved the show, and she could never understand a word that Jimmy Nail said, because he's from Newcastle, and he's got a thick Geordie accent, and it's very, I mean, I can't imagine Americans trying to read it. She couldn't understand it, and she's English. Until he sings, because it turns out he's a country singer, and he sings, he's crystal clear, you can understand everything.
That's always an interesting thing about English singers. Is like, okay, when they talk, accent, and then when they sing, you're like, where's the accent?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole Meltilus thing all over again.
Yes.
I'm sorry, some of you might be.
Sorry, that wasn't a starter joke. Sorry.
All right, so
one last question actually that came to mind. Have you become a cropper with a binging show? We're sort of bouncing into it right now with Stargate. We've figured out the right order to watch, which gets complicated.
Right.
Because you do 7 seasons. Well, you do the movie, then you do 7 seasons of Stargate SG-1. Then you start alternating Stargate SG-1 and then Atlantis, episode for episode, for 2 years. Then you switch and you alternate Atlantis with SG-1 for 1 year. And we've just got to the end of that, and the next thing we're supposed to watch is the feature, one of the straight-to-video features, and it's really annoying because when we're alternating, we're watching SG-1 on Netflix.
Arc of Truth.
Arc of Truth.
Yeah.
We're watching SG-1 on Netflix, then we're dropping out of Netflix to go to Hulu to watch Atlantis on Hulu. And as we've got into season 10 and season 3 respectively, they're popping things up on the screen saying only on Hulu until November the 30th. And it's, oh, come on. And Arc of Truth is not anywhere, I don't think. So,
If you need to, I have that one. I think I just get really good.
Well, I just pirated it. So
Just for you,
Put it out loud.
what I have noticed about Stargate and how it makes its circles, it spends a year, 6 months to a year on Amazon, 6 months to a year on Netflix, and then they bounce back and forth.
yeah, but now it's all been bought by, I think it's MGM, and MGM's been bought by Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
So now it's all coming off Netflix and Hulu, and it's all going to go on to something, I think Amazon Prime.
Probably.
But there'll be a gap,
DVD.
so, you know.
I am not bothered.
I got sick and tired of looking for Xena, and I just bought all the digital seasons.
Yep.
I was like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah, I know I said pirate, but now I don't have to pirate most things because they're available,
Right.
they're released, they're on this
Yeah,
service.
it used to be, if you wanted some of these things, you had to steal them.
Right.
I still have pirated copies of things.
Yeah.
Wrappers.
Yep, but they're there when you need them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like we brought it on ourselves, though, because we walked around for years going, why do I have to pay cable? I want to just pay for the channels I want. And we're not specific enough about how we want it to work.
Yeah.
And the problem is now there's so much content out there now. Like we are being bombarded at all, and everything looks great, but I can't afford 5 different streaming services.
No.
Like I'm angry that if I want to see the new season of Doctor Who, I have to get AMC Plus. I don't want to do that when the other 12 seasons are over here at HBO Max.
There is a solution for this, by the way. It's slightly more complicated in your circumstance, but you can still make it work. You need to acquire kids. And they need to acquire kids, and each of them buys a different service.
I have an alternative solution. Me and a group of friends, we each pay for one. If you want to jump in and then share the other, we share our passwords with everyone. So if you want to jump in on that, I think we're looking for someone to cover our Hulu.
There you go. It's easier to guild kids than friends, but the same principle works.
Yeah.
Each person in charge of a different service.
Yeah. The one you can't share is Amazon Prime. You cannot share Amazon Prime because everybody has to be living in the same household.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but we can share it with our son, who's living in the same household,
Right.
and he can pay for, what does he pay for? He pays for our Hulu.
Oh, nice.
On the Disney Plus, he's got a better package, but actually the other son
We're using his Disney Plus.
Yeah, because the ex-girlfriend is using his Disney Plus.
Yeah, man, that's complicated.
The other option is to keep track of which show you want, and when it finishes, then you sign up for the free trial, and then you binge. Which has something to do with this panel.
Well, yeah, that's how I did it.
Yeah, we did pick it up that way. Yeah, we got the free trial.
Yeah, I
binged
did
it,
Picard the same way too.
Except now there's something else on there, so we got to get another free trial.
But then somebody needs somebody else's email them, so that way it's like, oh, you can pay for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've talked about books, we've talked about TV series. What about movies? Is there like a movie series that you binge? Like I love binging the Hunger Games.
My dad binges Harry Potter and all of the Dunes.
Oh.
All of the Dunes, all of them.
I know Lord of the Rings is a good popular one. You just like watch over and over.
And also,
Question with Lord of the Rings: the long ones or the normal variants?
You mean the long ones or the longer ones?
Long or longer?
The long ones or
I ain't got time for these. All I know is they come in a box set.
They all do.
That's all I know.
Yeah,
Does a
Star
single
Wars, I don't
movie
think.
come in a box set?
I will absolutely binge watch.
A few discs. I think it's like two.
Alright, so those are the longer ones.
I will absolutely binge watch all of the Alien trilogy and Alien vs. Predator, both the Requiem. I don't care. I will watch Prometheus. I will watch them all.
Jason Voorhees, Halloween, Freddy Krueger.
Chucky's my favorite.
Saw.
And Chucky's.
Because of you, I'm binging Chucky next week.
Yeah.
So there you
I
go.
heard that the TV show is actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, well, so Don Castorelli, who's the writer and director of many of it's been the same guy for the whole time.
Oh wow.
And that's why when you see like Jason or Michael or Freddy, it's so hit or miss from like episode to episode. I call them episodes because they really kind of are.
Yeah.
Because it's a different creative team. They all want to put their spin on it. Whereas Don's like, I got the mythology. I got like this whole like universe. Like he was one of the first people to ever like do the universe. Before it was really even a thing.
Gene Roddenberry wasn't.
Oh well, sure. I mean, but like it really was sort of like the idea of like having a self-contained universe inside of like a movie was sort of a novel idea at the time, and like he was somebody that saw if I just show the consistency, I can do whatever I want with it, and I can get crazy if I want. Have you seen Seed of Chucky? Holy fucking shit! Like that, it's amazing though. Like everybody hates it, and I love it, probably because everybody hates it. But yeah, I mean, like I think all of the slashers to some extent have like rewatchability to them for sure. I certainly rewatch them all.
I tend to do it with people. We'll binge Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to doing it too. Yeah.
Yes, I feel that movie binging isn't something that generally happens as often because of the fact that you usually wait 1 to 2 years, if not longer, for the second movie to come out upon something else that's really, really popular. It's like, we need to get out now so we can make more money off of this. Like again, like the Hunger Games and the 50 Shades of Grey, I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, the Saw movies came out consistently year after year. Like it only took them probably 2 weeks to film, and they just had to wait for October to come on.
He had a consistent voice. Darren Lynn Bousman did 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. So it was ching, 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 ching.
Yeah. So again, with binging movies, I think it has to be more upon a sort of group activity where you agree upon it, or there has to be some sort of special event going on. To where it could be about the fact that, hey, we're having this sort of thing with parties, so we're all going to re-binge this sort of thing together, sharing the nostalgia. Or just, again, been so long since movie 1 came out and you're anticipating movie number 2, that, okay, we're going to rewatch number 1 so we can get a refresh upon what happened. And so when movie 2 comes out at midnight tonight, we're good to go.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that with Star Wars. You mentioned Star Wars. We went to go see 7. So we went and did 1 to 6 in order. Partly to refresh ourselves because it had been so long for some of them, and partly to watch them with the Jar Jar Binks is the evil Sith overlord that's ruling everything theory and see if it made sense. Spoiler, it does. But then we watched 7 and we got around to the others later, but never mind the binging.
Cinemark did that when the 7th one came out. They had several showings. From start to finish. It started at like 2:30 in the morning, and then we sat through all the way to 7. I was there. It was amazing.
Did they put Rogue One in there?
Huh?
Did they put Rogue One in there when they did that?
No, they did not.
Do you guys also binge podcasts or audiobooks?
Oh God, yes.
Critical Role. Yes, yes. I mean, if I'm listening to an audiobook, and again, there's more upon the nostalgia of, it's been a while since I heard this, so I just need some background noise. I feel like this is my mood because I don't buy as many audiobooks as I want to, just because money is fantastic. But then I'm like, okay, I started with number 1 of this book. How did it go again? I recall this theory within book number 2, but does that actually make sense of what just happened? I need to listen to that one now, and now by this point I'm already on book number 3, so let's go on.
I really love Horror Movie Survival Guide with Julia Marquesi and Terry Campbell. Yeah, podcast. It's great. It's my favorite podcast by far. It's great. They just take one movie and they just dissect it. It used to be like there was a previous host and they were just like revisiting the movies that they watched when they were roommates in college, and just like, you know, sort of, and then they brought another person in who's like, let's bring some more modern movies into it too, so we can sort of go back and forth between, you know, old and new. I really like the Necronomy.com.
What's that?
I've been on that podcast a few times, so shameless plug for my friend James here.
How many episodes now, James?
137?
Yes.
Postmortem with Mick Garris is amazing, and he is like the smartest. I mean, just a movie guy, right? I mean, he talks horror, but like the guy knows everything about movies, everything. So if you want to like breakdown of like the whole process from like the first word on the page all the way through post-production, he will give that to you in like different, and like he brings different people on, so it's always him just picking somebody's brain about it. So that's really amazing.
What was it called again? Sorry.
Postmortem.
Postmortem. Okay.
Yeah, with Mick Garris.
Okay.
It's on. I think it's on Fangoria now. It's bounced around a little bit.
Do you guys ever do like theatrical ones, like Welcome to Night Vale or We Are
How Did
Alive?
This Get Made is good. How Did This Get Made?
Oh.
It's just it's like every what the fuck movie you've ever watched. And it's how did this get made? They talk about it, right?
There was also a podcast that was doing like the movies that won't get made. Like these are movie scripts that have been rejected from Hollywood. So
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna read them.
I mean, there's like for everything that you want. Like if you want to talk about the best movies that haven't been made, right? There's like a podcast for that, you know. So like there's a lot of like movie stuff out there. Book-wise, I'm trying to think if I really listen to any book podcasts. I don't think I really do.
I did the Welcome to Night Vale binge every couple of years because Cecil Baldwin is amazing and I love his voice. And I got to see him at the Rialto Theater a couple of years ago. I was there, and that was fun. I followed him everywhere. On social media, at least.
Cecil's they're not doing shows with Cecil anymore.
Oh, I learned that and I was shocked. So, yeah. But I figured it's time for him to go anyway.
I think he's going to be the voice of Night Vale. He just can't do the shows anymore, I think was what it was. It was just like so exhausting and so draining.
Oh, the live shows?
The live shows.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But they said they had a cool format to fix it, but...
Yeah, I love those. I really love the Joe Bob Briggs revival on Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Last Drive-In, he's just super passionate about the kind of stupid shit that I love. I mean, just all the exploitation and the gory stuff and all that stuff. He like just is encyclopedic. I've talked to that guy in person. We correspond via email. He's super nice in real life. Been corresponding for a few years, and he remembers you when you like meet him in person, and he loves just talking about like the whole the entirety of all of Hollywood. He does this live show called How Rednecks Saved Hollywood, and he just talks about the Southploitation, it's hard to say, movies where it was just like really it was like sort of in that little area in between sort of like Texas and Florida, you know, and it would go up to maybe like Tennessee or Kentucky or something like that. But there was just all these movies that were set in that area that, you know, just talked about those. And there's moonshining movies and like the nudie cuties that they used to do to get around like the obscenity laws. Because they're documentaries. It's not a movie. It's a documentary about nudists, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a whole. That's
Dive into Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Yeah, Herschel Gordon Lewis is amazing.
Nudie cuties, then got into gore flicks. And,
Yep. He was just like, whatever's making money right now, I'll do that. He was a marketing guy.
Yeah.
Herschel Gordon Lewis was not a filmmaker. He would tell you that when he was alive. He's like, I was a marketing guy, but you know, I knew what I could market. You know, so they're not making gore movies. I'm going to make gore movies right now.
Did I not remember that Joe Bob actually tried to stick his toe into the political arena a couple years ago?
I mean, he's always sort of done that a little bit, and I think that people forget sometimes that he does that a little bit, and so
I didn't know. I'd never known that about him. I'd always seen him, you know, just do the.
What was the word you?
He tries to stay out of it. He tries to stay above it because I think he leans a little more right than like his audience probably does.
Exactly. That's what I was remembering. Thank you.
But you can. I mean, that's fine. We can all get along and be civil to one another, you know, and not be total assholes. I mean, it is possible, you know, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Larry Korea.
But
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I did want to mention Channel Zero. I think is a really good. It's creepypasta.
Yes.
And each season is one contained story, and so those are really
the 2 seasons. I've only made it through halfway through the series.
Yeah, I'm like 2.5 seasons in right now, and they've got a new series by the same people called Brand New Cherry Flavor on Netflix that everybody has told me is great. It's exactly like Channel Zero, so I'll go ahead and just recommend that, having not seen it yet, but it's brand new.
What's it called?
Brand New Cherry Flavor is the one on.
I've heard good
Netflix.
things about a film guy up in Phoenix. The guy that wrote that, I think he partly dedicated it to him because he supported him in his zine back in the 80s, because it's old. It's not a new thing. It's just a new TV thing.
Yeah.
And he says it's really good.
Yeah, and Love and Death and Robots is really good.
Yes.
And they're like 6 to 12 minutes, you know, each episode. So it's like, talk about binging, like you can do a whole season, you know, in like 2 hours.
I think the first season was far better than the second.
It's like any anthology series. Anthology series are a mixed bag, you know, like that's why when I see an anthology series, I like it better when it's the same creative team that's doing the anthology series versus like we're just picking and choosing different, which is fine because you'll get like the highest highs, but you'll also get the lowest lows.
Yeah, I had the issue with I think it was Lore on Netflix.
Right.
Or it might have been Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. But I was really enjoying it because, 12-hour night shifts waiting for the phone to ring, just fantastic way to kill time. I was really enjoying the season 1 because they're getting really in depth, but then season 2, they obviously changed a lot of things, and I forget. I wiped from my mind what I disliked about it, but it was obviously a very different take upon sort of things, and it was very much more trying to be drama-esque versus actually giving you some information on the creatures that they were actually supposed to do the lore on.
Right. Yeah.
How are we doing for time, by the way?
I think we're at
our mark.
Past it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're at.
Well, thank you all for being so dedicated to stay with us. We can carry on going for hours.
Oh yeah, I could talk forever on binging.
We're just here to binge panels. Man.
Binge panels.
This is my final panel for the weekend, so thanks for coming out,
Yes, thank you.
guys. Really appreciate you guys, because I've seen a lot of the same faces showing up for panels, although it's a small con, so I guess that's kind of
Yeah, I think it is. Is this the last panel of the con?
It may be.
I believe so.
Cool.
Oh, well, we're closing the whole thing down.
We will end on a high note.
That's right. All right, everybody go home.
Oh, I thought we were getting high. You said high note.
Operatic C. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
I made eye contact.
Yes, I saw. So,
Sure, have you seen Inside Number 9?
Kitty.
Your magenta? Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what immediately.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition, and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.